In the great Midwest, you'll find the Creighton Blue Jays, and their home court may be the best in the Big East, if not the country. Today, they play number 5 with a bullet, Xavier. And as you look at the standings off of the Villanova victory in Philadelphia earlier today on Fox, Xavier is actually playing for first place, provided they win. The Blue Jays are already in the NCAA tournament field at Carnegie or Howie Schwab, but they could be elevating themselves this afternoon. Hi again, everyone. Along with Holly Saunders, who you'll hear from shortly, and Lynn Elmore, I'm Tim Brando. 2 dynamic offenses on display today.
Well, a little bit of defense is going to be played, but let's face it, the Big East is a scorer's league, and these 2 teams exemplify that. The tempo is going to be quick, the scoring and offense is going to be efficient, and again, the scores is definitely going to be high.
It took 100 to win in this building a year ago. Let's talk about 2 of the most dynamic players that will be with us this afternoon.
Well, we're talking about 2 seniors who are number 6 and number 4 scoring in the Big East, respectively. And Trayvon Blewett is Xavier's go-to guy. Tremendous catch-and-shoot guy, average double figures all 4 years at Xavier. And when you look at Creighton, Marcus Foster, he's just an outstanding athlete. Depth shooting touch. The game winner against DePaul was his 2,000th point. Now, both of these guys are absolutely integral to their team's win.
It's not often, as you look at our Geico players to watch, that you have 2,000-point scorers on the floor simultaneously. And they've got a lot of help from a number of friends through the course of this afternoon. I'll look at our Jeep Grand Cherokee lineups. Quentin Goodin will run the show. J.P. McCure has been on a shooting slump, needs to come out of it today. Davion Mintz will be back there with Foster, and Kyrie Thomas is an outstanding wing player. Harrell and Hegner will have to play big. Remember, they lost Crumple on January 17th, so the last time these 2 met in Cincinnati in a game that we had, Lynn, they still struggled, and that was with Crumple. So this is an outmanned Creighton team along the front line, and the toss and tap controlled to the Musketeers.
When I said defense would be played, particularly Kyrie Thomas against Trayvon Blewett. Thomas, one of the best defenders in the nation.
That's Cantor, can't get it to go, and Harrell brings it down. Foster walks. He knew it. Chris Mack, what a remarkable job this young man has done. Just turned 48 on December the 30th, now in his 9th year at what was once known as the cradle of coaches. He's now made it a destination job in Cincinnati. Blewett, a baseline drive. This guy's perhaps their most improved player, Najee Marshall. He gives it up, and that's where you'll find many times over through the course of this game an open jump shot available. And right there, Quentin Goodin got it to go. And
Goodin, obviously not known as a scorer, but the last 4 games, he's been red hot, 57% from the field, 7 of 9 now, 8 of 10 from beyond the arc.
There's that first step of Foster's. You say it's maybe the best first step you've seen.
Well, he gets from end line to end line as quick as anybody, but absolutely that first step is explosive.
And this guy right here, Blewett, may have the quickest trigger in college basketball. He really lets it go. There's a steal. Thomas. Kyrie gets it done. And it's 4-3 Blue Jays.
I foreshadowed that in the first possession for Xavier. This matchup is going to be outstanding. Thomas last year, the co-defensive player of the year, and obviously Trayvon Blewett going for possibly player of the year here in the Big East.
Blewett couldn't get it to go. Nice recovery there by Cantor to get the putback.
One thing Creighton's got to be careful of, I mean, they got this crowd here. They know they're trying to avenge a big loss to Xavier earlier in the season. They've got to settle down a little bit, not let emotion carry them, and let their skills do the talking.
Harrell dribbling into a double team. Akira, who's always involved in the middle of every scrum, starts it. We're going to have a tie ball. The arrow is to the Blue Jays. They will hold on to it on this end of the floor.
We're going to watch this all afternoon. The quick hands, long arms of Kyrie Thomas. And not only is he a smart defender, obviously going along with the physical attributes, but the athleticism, those 3 things combined make him an outstanding defender.
Mintz. And the rebound cleared by Najee Marshall. He's been outstanding on the defensive end and has improved offensively as well, number 13. Xavier in the road black trimmed with Musketeer blue. And here's Blewett. Missed it all. Great defensive work by Thomas again. He unloads a three himself.
I told you this is a scorer's league, and Creighton illustrates that so well. There is no hesitation. Their transition game is something they absolutely rely on.
That makes 808 in a row with a three delivered, dating back all the way to 91. You see Cantor answering, and we're tied. A touchdown and an extra point apiece at 7.
Cantor just really demonstrated the weakness in the Creighton defense. As you see Marshall with the steal.
And the slam. And Najee's wingspan can get that done. Very similar to Kyrie Thomas in his approach defensively.
Yeah, if Kyrie Thomas is going to have another person to share Defensive Player of the Year with, it just might be Najee Marshall.
He's checking Foster right now. Here's Hegner. He can hit that shot. Not this time. Harrell fighting for it. Tie ball the arrow now for Xavier. Well taken down the other end of the floor.
As athletic and as long as Kyrie Thomas is, Najee Marshall, exactly the same kind of player defensively. You saw the reach and the quick transition from defense to offense, and he is unstoppable in that open floor.
Xavier's got 9, and none of them by Blewett or McCura. Their top 2 options. Great defensive work inside. Cantor gets a bump from Hegner, and the whistle inside. Our officials today, a veteran crew. Pat Driscoll, many Final Fours in his past. Brian O'Connell and Evan Burrows.
To the free throw line for Xavier is number 11.
They are without 1/3 of their big 3 inside. Tyreek Jones is out. He's nursing an injury. Will be back in the next week or 2. But there is Sean O'Mara, the other half of that inside tandem with Cantor. They can sometimes go with both of them and play a nice high-low game, and together they were dynamite in that road victory at Butler that went to overtime the other night.
And what makes them so effective is Cantor's ability to step outside, stretch the defense, pull the help away. And yeah, there's a pretty decent passer inside as well. And O'Mara just uses his body.
Right on cue, you notice O'Mara coming into the game replacing Cantor. And the youngster, Jacob Epperson, whom you'll hear more about shortly from Holly, from Melbourne, Australia, has come in, number 41 in white. They need big minutes from him in a game like this against Xavier. And that's going to be a reach-in foul. Goodin will be tagged with it.
Well, Tim, going to the point with Epperson in the ball game, O'Mara was a response to Epperson coming in the game. I think Chris Mack recognizes Epperson with just 4 games under his belt, inexperienced, maybe not strong enough in the post to go against a guy O'Mara who makes a living 2 feet in.
Great lob inside to him, and he dishes out to Foster. Rebound to O'Mara. It's over 4 minutes gone by here in Omaha, Nebraska. McCura giving it up to O'Mara.
Watch O'Mara try to utilize good footwork and positioning to exploit the young big fella.
Shot clock under 10. Rare we say that in this matchup. Goodin looking to take Harrell. In traffic. Tough! Bank is open on Saturday in Omaha for the Musketeers. And it's 13-7, now an 8-0 run for the Musketeers.
I told you how hot Quentin Goodin has been of late. That was a confidence shot. If I throw it up there, it's got to go in.
Mintz falling away. Blewett retrieves it for Xavier. Quickly up to Najee Marshall. Harrell got the tip. Goodin comes away with it, though. And Blewett lets it fly. Rebound stripped away from O'Mara by Mintz. Numbers now. Thomas! Kyrie has it going right now. 8 points for him. And that's all but 2 for the Blue Jays.
And Chris Mack instructs his team, slow it down. You know, that kind of up-tempo back and forth ultimately plays into the hands of the Blue Jays.
Mintz, the last to touch it. Sometimes, if you're really good, you get a nice, really good break, right, Lynn?
Absolutely, a confidence shot. But this is right on cue. Up tempo. We said there'd be some scoring.
Big East basketball is sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee. Here in Omaha, Nebraska, Xavier and Creighton in a track meet. 13 to 10 our score very early. We mentioned a moment ago the front line advantage the Musketeers had in the first meeting, and with more on that, here's Ollie Saunders.
Yeah, Tim, exactly. The last time that these two teams met, it was very clear that Xavier had the inside advantage, the definitive inside advantage. But you're seeing a few of the changes today that are giving Creighton a very different look. Namely, we'll start out with the fact that starting forward Martin Crumple is out of the lineup, suffered a season-ending knee injury, and Coach McDermott decided to bring in freshman Jake Epperson. Yeah, he's out there on the floor. He originally planned to redshirt. This is a change to the plans because it's only Epperson's fourth game. He's truly training on the job, Tim, thrown right into the heat of the Big East schedule. I asked him before the game if he feels intimidated at all, and he responded like a teenager would. He said, I try not to. So he's still a kid. You can expect to see him get significant playing time today, Tim.
Yeah, he played on the nation's top high school team a year ago, Lala Muir in Indiana, Holly, and already, though, in the paint, Xavier leading 8-4 in scoring as Ventura gets the front iron on that aerial. He has been mired in a nasty shooting slump the last 4 games. Kyrie Thomas comes down with it, but we'll watch and see how Epperson comes along, particularly as a passer from the post, which is what, without a doubt, Coach Mack is wanting from his low post personnel in this offense. Nothing doing, and Blewett comes down with it.
Right now, Xavier is going to kind of moderate their attack. They're looking to get the ball inside right there to O'Mara. And you see the triple team on O'Mara. He tried to make a quick move to try to exploit Epperson, but Epperson's teammates to the help, to the assist.
Tyshawn Alexander in the timeout has come in, number 5 and right. That was a poor pass. Out of bounds. They were trying to get it to Foster, but Thomas threw it away.
And you see the quickness right there. There's 3 guys come. 1, 2, 3. And that's what you need, a little help from your friends when you're not exactly sure of what you can do inside. And O'Mara Chris Mack recognizing the double and triple teams, because O'Mara right now is not as effective. Going to get Karim Cantor, who can step outside as well.
Cantor was at times unstoppable at Hinkle Fieldhouse the other night. Xavier staved off that late rally from Butler in overtime to come away with a much-needed road win. Poised for a possible move to the 1 line if they can get a win today and load up on that. Remember when that shot went down? Almost 7 minutes gone from Makura. Now Alexander, that's too easy. And no help coming as he goes rack to rack to make it 16-12.
Well, again, you credit the push. Right now, it's Hegner and Cantor working against each other in the post.
Well,
and there's looked like J.P. McCure.
He did.
With the tip in. And he's a guy you've got to block out. He comes rushing in from the perimeter. And guys don't seem to want to put a body on him, but they better, because he's very effective.
Well, Xavier was able to withstand that opening push of emotion from Creighton. That was a concern for Chris Mack when we talked to him yesterday. You know, there are times going to be runs from this team from Creighton, particularly when Foster gets going. And to this point, he has not. And it's a 6-point Musketeers lead. Makura left free again. Too strong, and it's pulled down by Harrell. As always, it's push, baby, push for Creighton. Always looking to get the easy basket. Tyshawn Alexander. Freshman from Charlotte by way of Oak Hill Academy. 18-15.
Alexander giving us some instant offense. 2 minutes, 5 points.
Blew it off the high pick and roll to Cantor. And would have counted had it fallen. He's upset with himself, too. But it is a foul on Tyshawn Alexander. His first. When you come into the game, you better be thinking score. And usually, that's from downtown. Your leads it by 3, just over 8 minutes gone by. And let's go inside Chris Mack's huddle at Xavier.
It really comes down on the defensive end of the things we talked about to start the game. The 3 threes they've made have all been in transition. And 2 of the 3, the ball was already picked up by one of your teammates. He yelled, "I had balls," clear as day. And then for whatever reason, we get a guy trying to, reach, a second defender trying to reach, steal the ball. They pick it up, they throw it, now we're outnumbered when the ball gets thrown from that guy.
Smack told us yesterday transition D was going to be paramount as their focus. And what it comes down to is 10 fast break points and the quickness of Creighton pushing the ball up the floor. No hesitation, right there wide open. Kyrie Thomas, even though there was a guy that was calling him out, he never really pushed up to try to challenge the shot. And you've got to do that. Make him come inside the 3, run him off the line. You got a better chance.
Well, the fast break points are up to 10-2 now for Creighton. And Holly Saunders tells us that McDermott in his huddle was stressing more offensive rebounds. And frankly, post defense was what he was challenging his team with yesterday. The 53-year-old McDermott, now in his 8th season at Creighton. What a remarkable job he has done. They have 0 offensive rebounds right now, hence the reason he stressed that in his own huddle.
Well, and that's interesting because Greg has mentioned in the past that he's not really a believer in sending too many guys to the offensive glass because that takes away from transition defense. And, they're last 10th in offensive rebound percentage, so they rebound the smallest percentage of their misses.
Harrell was trying to make a pass, and the ball didn't go with his arms. And Xavier came away with it. Kaiser Gates is checked in. Now he's got range, number 22, as he gives it up to Cantor on the low block, working on Heckner.
And here's the matchup that Chris Mack loves. And that's why you see O'Mara in the game when Epperson's there, inside guys. And then you have guys who can stretch the defense, both Heckner as well as Cantor playing against each other. And Cantor's got the advantage because he's a better back-to-the-basket offensive player.
Cantor now with 9. Mitchell Ballack is on the floor, the freshman, 24 in white for the Creighton Blue Jays. And here's Harrell with a nice spin move. Everything but the finish. Najee Marshall. Well, he may have gotten away with steps. Instead, it's going to be a player control foul. I thought he got away with a bunny hop prior to that. Najee gets the foul. It's his first.
And this is where Cantor has the advantage over Heckner. Heckner not a post-up player, nor a real good post-up defender. And you see right there, just smooth, easy, utilizing that left. And Kareem Cantor, again, has been a guy that's been red hot from the field. 15 double-figure games. The last 4 has averaged 15 points a game, shooting 58% from the field. And he gets a lot of big guys in positions they don't want to be in when he gets the ball.
22 points against Butler on 10 of 15. It's a very efficient night for him. Foster is back into the game. Got the first couple and none since for Creighton. And another whistle. Brian O'Connell spots a foul.
Yeah, that was a hold. Paul Scruggs saw Harrell was going to beat him off the screen and roll and had to hold on to him.
Not much from Foster, not even many looks, and Najee Marshall has a lot to do with that. But they need to be playing more of a 94-foot style, too, for Foster to really get rolling.
And that reach, they really need to be able to get Foster just some daylight.
Yeah, no doubt. Here he is with a mismatch on Cantor. Gives it up to Heckner on the wing. Well, Foster knows how to deliver the goods, too. He can pass it as well as knock it down from three-point range.
And he gave it to Heckner where Heckner could use it from beyond the arc as Cantor, who's guarding Heckner, slipped out and switched out on Foster.
Marcus Foster is a complete player. One of the best players most of America knows the least about. In traffic, Scruggs with a leaping leaner. 23-18.
Yeah, Chris Mack was telling us that with Scruggs and Marshall on the floor, they're a much better defensive team. And right now, I think that's what Xavier's trying to do, is throw some cold water on Creighton with their D.
Foster's become a real leader. Here's another blow by and a jump stop deuce. That's that explosion we're talking about. He's got 4. Crowd trying to become a factor. A sea of blue. Another sellout here in Omaha. Goodin, man, using the glass. Don't blink. Here come the Blue Jays right back at you.
We told you we'll mention defense every once in a while, but this has been outstanding offense from both teams.
Najee Marshall rips down that rebound off of the Hegner aerial. Musketeers are controlling pace of play, though. Quick shot that time, and it leads to this run out. 1-on-4 for Alexander. Ball was, I believe, deflected. A little bit of an overrule here from Brian O'Connell for Pat Driscoll. Fans don't like it, but the correct call, in my estimation.
They're coming right at you.
Yep.
It's close.
Right there is the deflection.
Went off that thigh.
Yep, good call. Great piece of officiating right there.
And Alexander has got to exercise a little better judgment. You mentioned it, 1-on-4. That's not an advantage break.
Blewett has returned. He is scoreless right now. And O'Mara gets the easy one to drop. And that's the largest lead now of 7 for the Musketeers. Trayvon Blewett has yet to scratch. Back in the game now, and that's a reach-in foul on Najee Marshall. Getting a little physical with Foster, and that's number 2 on Najee.
But look at Sean O'Mara, just breaks inside. You know, no challenge, real challenge by Hegner. And you've got to stay on top, on the top shoulder, to keep him from ducking inside. And if they throw it over you, you're hoping that your teammate who's guarding the passer doesn't give that passer the vision to throw the lob. But somewhere or another, you've got to get O'Mara out of that paint.
There's the lob to the Aussie Epperson. He's immediately doubled. Another tie ball with the arrow to Creighton.
He did a nice job of catching it, but he brought it down. And he's even signaling, I should have kept it above my shoulders. Young fella, he'll come along, but first things first, the catch was so important.
His dad, Ken, was the all-time leading scorer and rebounder at the University of Toledo. Foster off the heel. And it's Paul Scruggs bringing it down. He's really improved, too. This young man has been much more than just a supporting role guy in recent weeks. Mintz giving it up to Ballack on the wing. Another rebound by Scruggs.
And if you notice, only one guy on the offensive glass for Creighton. And the other 4 were getting back, trying to prevent transition.
There's a deflection by Thomas. Numbers 3-on-2. Kyrie with a ball fake. And another great defensive play into the passing lane. The Blue Jays did not see Goodin there. He comes away with a steal.
And that was just excellent recognition by Quentin Goodin. That's to where Marcus Foster was. And that's what you have to do. Identify, ID the shooters, and get to them when you're playing Creighton.
Turnover story of Wash at the stage. 5-4. McCure on the wing, giving it up. And well done by Goodin. Ball movement, tremendous. Xavier, one of the really outstanding passing teams in college basketball. They're on a 7-love run. Creighton knows what it means. Xavier, the Woad Warriors today in the mighty Big East. The greatest day in all of racing. It returns next weekend. The Daytona 500 kicks off the new season February 18th at 2:30 Eastern with the pre-race beginning at 11 a.m. Nothing, only on Fox. Well, points off turnovers, 13-5 in favor of Xavier. Let's now go inside Greg McDermott's huddle.
Guys, drive, set your feet, and then look. Don't drive, jump stop, and then jump up in the air. All right, set your feet and see what happens. And your slip's got to be powerful. Like you're not getting to the rim. Listen, Jake.
As far as fundamentals are concerned, this is exactly what Greg McDermott's talking about. Watch Thomas come. He sees an open man, but a defender shoots the gap. And this is watch Thomas leave his feet instead of being set. And there's a defender who can anticipate by watching what Thomas does. Shoots the gap, steals the ball. If you dribble, you stop and get set. You're able to pull back in the event you see a defender step in the way.
Great teaching point from Greg McDermott, a student of Eldon Miller, his days as a basketball coach, of course, one of the greats at Ohio State, Coach Clark Kellogg, among many others. And there is the iron kind for Kyrie Thomas. Touch them all, and it's 30-23. He's 4 for 4 from the floor, Lynn, and is keeping the Blue Jays in it while others are struggling.
Somebody has to step up again from the offensive standpoint. Marcus Foster not really getting the kinds of shots that he wants.
That teardrop does not go. It's on the deck. Last touched by Xavier's Sean O'Mara.
And the reason why Foster's been stymied is because of the outstanding defense by an array of guys for Xavier. Right now, Paul Scruggs on him. Prior to that, you had Najee Marshall. The thing those two have in common is they're long, they're quick, and they anticipate well. Now you got to switch Foster with O'Mara.
Shot clock at 10. Thomas shoots it to Hegner just beyond the baseline, just outside it. And this young guy, if he can warm up, it can make a difference. This crowd wants to be heard from. They're waiting for one of those patented Blue Jays runs. We haven't seen it as yet. Scruggs off the heel. How about that rebound by Thomas? It was like he was shot out of a cannon. He keeps swinging it. There's Foster right where they want it.
Right where he wants it.
Here comes the crowd. An 8-0 spurt.
I'll tell you what, Tim, this crowd is now asserting itself. Take a look right here. He put his hand on the ball. Scruggs did. Right hand got on the ball. Double dribble. But Foster hitting that three prior to that play, he got the ball where he wanted it and needed it. The result of excellent ball movement.
In traffic. Mintz finds Hegner and now gets it back. Over O'Mara. Count it. You know, this is a private university that's embraced by its hometown. Half of these fans here are also Nebraska football people. They love these Blue Jays. Toughest road environment in the Big East, in my opinion. There's another one. And it's really wreaking havoc on Xavier right now.
Well, we've been talking about Marcus Foster having some difficulty getting involved in the offense, but Trayvon Blewett is being shut out right now. He's got a donut next to his name, 0 for 2, and that turnover, that's his third turnover of the game, and you credit Kyrie Thomas with outstanding defense.
And much of this run for Creighton without Marcus Foster lighting it up, although, look out. That went off the heel. Blewett brings it down and gets it to J.P. Makura. Makura's only got 3. He hit 1 3 ball a little earlier. He tries to insert it. Nice. Yeah, beautiful scoop to the hoop by J.P.
Very assertive by Makura, and that's what you have to do. You know, you want to see the ball go through that basket a few times to get your rhythm back.
Thomas, who hasn't missed, lobs it into Hegner. It's stripped away and out of bounds. Fox College Hoops is sponsored by Progressive, your first-round pick for car insurance. We look forward to that. Since you mentioned it, Rob, how about that? What efficiency from Bonds. Only 6 players for Chris Mullen today hit the floor. He was 16 of 23. And Dante DiVincenzo of Villanova, a career-high 30 for him as they had to ward off a Butler team that led by double digits at one time in the first half today. Here it's 32-30. Xavier, and they're trying to get their best player on track right now.
Yeah, Trayvon Blewett, as I mentioned, 0 points, 0 for 2 from the field. Both of those shots from beyond the arc. And he has been harassed, hounded, and whatever other adjective you want to use by Kyrie Thomas. Just can't get started.
Hegner again. Off the mark. Harrell with a opportunity, but that's going to be a blockout, root out foul that will go against Blewett. I believe that's going to be his first.
Yeah, and this is how his day started. Kyrie Thomas in his pocket and then in his face. And right here deflects the ball. He can't even get a pass off. And then finally tight defense forces the double dribble. And right now it just hasn't been an ideal day for Trayvon Blewett.
And that post defense that McDermott worked on yesterday has been terrific. Foster trying to use his strength to get it to go, but a quick tie ball from Evan Burrows prior to the shot. And the alternating possession is to Xavier.
Man, how about this for good defense by Makura, but that upper body strength by Marcus Foster, and people can make an argument it was maybe a little too quick.
Yep.
On the blow, on the whistle.
That is the kind of defensive play we've come to expect, though, from Makura. Blewett. And that's that quick trigger. His first bucket, make note of that, coming with 3 minutes left in the half.
First time he got some daylight as Thomas's arms were down.
I don't know of anyone that gets the release any faster as Mintz gets an and one, taking it right to the 10. Davion Mintz, sophomore from Charlotte, North Mecklenburg High School.
Not normally called on the score, averages just 5 points a game. He has had some double-figure games under his belt. He's the assist man, the trigger man on the offense. But at a time when they need more guys, more diversity in their offense, Mintz takes it upon himself to become a threat.
Well, when they lost Watson a year ago, he was pressed into duty. He had to see a lot of time. And Marcus Foster also had to become the leader in the backcourt and operate with the ball a great deal more. And Coach McDermott told us yesterday he believes there's been some carryover both for Mintz and Foster with the ball in his hands. There's Cantor, counted and one. That one will go against Toby Hegner.
But I think the fault in that play on the miss was the fact that Mintz didn't hold a block out. See the ball go up, and look at Mintz. He couldn't hold the block out. Cantor just reaches right over him. Instead of going for the rebound, you've got to be able to block him and hold the block out. You know, Cantor's got about 5 or 6 inches on you. No need to try to contest him. Hold the block out and hope your teammates go after it. The other side of it, Tim, is if you hold that block out, the officials are more eager to make the call over the back.
Yeah.
You know, once you let go of that block out and you straighten up to try to contest for that ball, then it's any man's ball.
Number 44, Manny Suarez for Toby Hegner.
Manny Suarez comes into the game. He's seen some playing time of late to go along with Epperson.
Yeah, Suarez started out his career at Fordham a year and then transferred to Division II at Delphi, where he averaged double digits. So he's a guy that knows how to score a little bit. And he may be a nice change, a nice balance, get a little inside play for Creighton.
Cantor has really become a factor offensively. 12 on the day. Here's Harrell challenging him. Gets it out to Mintz, and Suarez, I think, is going to get tagged with that foul, clearing out. Little discard there.
That was out of frustration.
Yeah.
Suarez had a man open, had himself open. His teammates didn't see him. And then Blewett continued to kind of combat with him inside, and he pushed back. And many times the officials always see the second, not the first.
37-33, 2 and change remaining in the opening half. Tim Brando, Lynn Elmore, Holly Saunders, happy to have you with us.
Also doing a nice job of denying Makura. Now he lets him get it, but he's much further outside of the offense.
Nice curl move by Gates, and a beautiful dish to find him by Goodin.
And that's the offensive efficiency we talk about. Excellent execution.
Foster. Once he gets warmed up and in transition, any shot can go, even a fadeaway. That was not an easy one, but he got it.
And once he sees a guy other than Najee Marshall on him, he gets it going. Wow, nice spin move by O'Mara.
He's got every move imaginable. But the combination of Cantor and O'Mara, and they mix and match with them. Very rarely do you see them on the floor at the same time. Add Tariq Jones. That's a double dribble by Mintz.
No, it's not. No, it's a foul by Suarez.
Suarez, I beg your pardon. Yep, a bad pick. Moving pick.
Macura literally stuck his nose into the fray. And Suarez, it was almost by accident. He spun and made contact. And that's frustrating for a guy.
It is.
A fifth-year senior. Didn't have any intent to do it, but nevertheless made contact.
And he's been struggling to get some playing time, too. It's one of the reasons why Epperson's been called upon, and the red shirt was lifted on him to get more playing time. So I'm sure he wants to prove his worth, be as physical as he can possibly be. And he's picked up 2 quick fouls since coming into the game. Here it is.
Well, he's going to try to make the spin. Macura right there, as I said, stuck his nose in it a little bit.
That's elbow.
Yeah, but it was still not a flagrant foul as the officials came over to tell us they had to review, and it wasn't a flagrant foul, just an offensive foul.
Brian O'Connell coming over to let us know. Incidental, yes, but anytime there's any type of blow above the shoulders, they're going to take a look at it.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't excessive. That was just part of playing the game and part of the normal course of fouling.
8 Musketeers have played. Everyone has a field goal. Macura looking for his 3rd and gets it off the glass.
Macura doing a nice job of letting the game come to him, not forcing shots. He's made some nice moves to the basket at times when Xavier needed to kind of stop a Creighton run.
Well, since that 10-0 run for Creighton, Xavier has answered with 6 of their last 7 from the floor.
Wow, what a save.
Off the front rim, it doesn't go for Mintz.
And right now, Creighton is relegated to just shots from the perimeter. No inside out, no penetrate and kick. And that's maybe rushing their offense more than they would like to.
Bismuth gets his call out. Blew it. Orchestrating the 1-4 set for Quentin Goodin. Calls his own number. Not there. They have plenty of time here. 12 seconds left. Foster's got the rock. And is likely to keep it. Against Macura. A follow. It wasn't to be for Mintz. Xavier shoots 55% from the floor and made 6 of their last 8 from the floor. And there you see that comparison between the 2 outstanding stars we mentioned at the top, Lynn.
But they're both outstanding offensive players. Blewett, won't be long before he gets started, and Marcus Foster hasn't found the range yet to the extent that Creighton would love to.
All right, let's go over to Holly Saunders now.
Thanks, Tim. Coach, it seems you've made a special effort to get the ball inside, especially the Cantor. Has this been a point of emphasis for you?
Well, that's what we want to do. We want to be an inside-out team, and coming off the heels of our game against Butler, where I thought we did a really good job of throwing it to both Sean and Karam, we want to do the same thing and see if Creighton chooses to double or post crowd, and then play from there.
And Trayvon Blewett is still running cold. How do you get him feeling more positive and more involved?
Well, number one, these are folks that are scouting report. They got one of the best defenders in the Big East all over them, and Trey's playing within himself. I have no doubt down the stretch when we need a big basket, he'll be right there. But he's doing what the game tells him to do, and that's the most important thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tim?
All right, Holly, that's the supporting cast. Cantor and Goodin, they've collaborated for 22. It's halftime. Xavier leads 43-35. After the break, we'll join Stoner, Steve Lavin, Casey Jacobson. They'll have the Jeep Grand Cherokee halftime report. Game 2, our big game Saturday in the Big East. There you see our Jeep Grand Cherokee halftime stats. Noticeable the difference in the number of points in the paint there at the very bottom. As we welcome you back along with Holly Saunders and Lynn Elmore, Tim Brando. And Other than that 10-point run that Creighton had with 10 fast break points, I like that Xavier's transition defense has been outstanding.
It has been, and it's really shut down to a certain extent Marcus Foster and some of the other Blue Jays. But really their offense has been outstanding in that the game is being played to their advantage. And it all begins with getting the ball inside. And Kareem Cantor has just done a terrific job of utilizing the passes that he's gotten, 4 or 5 from the field, 4 or 5 from the free throw line, and he's just making them pay by getting his feet in the paint. Now for Creighton, on the other hand, it's all about Kyrie Thomas. He's the only one that's really seemingly getting the job done offensively in an efficient manner. He's perfect from the field, 4 of 4, including 3 of 3, and playing pretty solid defense.
There you see the numbers from that first half. Foster can be more of a factor. Certainly Trayvon Blewett can as well. Let's get the latest on Greg McDermott from our Holly Saunders.
Yes, and Coach McDermott said he's very pleased with their defensive effort in the first half, but he wants them to get even tougher. He wants them to win more of the 50-50 balls and stress the importance of keeping this crowd involved. Remember, they've won 15 in a row at home, and fans are aware and doing their part, Tim.
Something's got to give, Holly, no question about it. Creighton only 10 points in the paint, only 1 free throw attempt. Xavier with 43 total, and 28 of those points coming inside the painted area.
One of the things Creighton has to do, they got to cut down on their turnovers. 7 turnovers have led to 17 Xavier points. You know, they cut down on the turnovers, increase their possessions. They've got a shot to get back into this game quickly. And they've also got to secure their blockouts and go get it. You know, Xavier's got 9 second chance points off of 5 offensive rebounds, and that's something that can be avoided. But if I'm Xavier, I continue to do what I did in the first half, hit the glass and feed Cantor.
That was a noteworthy opening inside bucket from Harrell. Blewett falling on the seat of his pants, can't get it to go. Crashing the glass, Makira and Marshall, and Najee Marshall tips it in.
There's no way in the world Creighton can survive if they don't put bodies on people and keeping them from crashing the glass.
11-0 in second chance points, Xavier. There's Foster with a quick answer on the wing from downtown. They can score in bunches, and this fan base can get loud in a hurry. Makira working in on Foster. Nicely done.
He's got that left with that good angle on the glass. He's got it down.
Beautiful scoop by Harrell. You know, with him in there and without Crumple, they've got a lot more wing presence and a little bit more athletic. There's a turnover. We may have an overrule again, though. Another conversation taking place. And the ball is going to stay down here. Much to the chagrin of the Blue Jay faithful. And that man right there.
Well, coming right at you. The flip by Mintz. And Marshall doesn't touch it. Left hand just...
Beautiful inbounds play to Blewett, and he hits the floater baseline, and it's 49-42.
And if you think we got some scoring now, Blewett's starting to get right.
Yeah.
Foster's gotten get right as well.
It may take 100 to win it. It did a year ago in this building. Another one from downtown. Kyrie, the junior homespun star, Benson High in Omaha.
5 of 5 from the field, 4 of 4 from beyond the arc.
Makira went finger roll, came up dry, but there's Najee Marshall. Ever present, Makira. He loves the contact. Just go in there, sort of a human floor burn. A real problem for the opposition.
Well, he recognizes he's got size advantage, and as you mentioned, he relishes the contact. He challenges defenses.
Your favorite teammate, your least favorite opponent. And that's a reach-in foul. Quentin Goodin gets his second.
You know, Thomas recognizes the mismatch as Cantor keeps backing up, fearful of the drive, and he leaves just enough room for Thomas to bury that 3.
Well, that's 1,009 career points for Kyrie. He's got here at Creighton. Of course, he had 750 plus as well at Or excuse me, that was at Kansas State. Kyrie just here over 1,000 points. It was Marcus Foster I was mentioning at Kansas State. And a combination of 2,000, and there he's going to get a chance to add to that after that bump coming from Najee Marshall, his third. And Kyrie Thomas, anytime you get over 1,000 points, that's a wonderful plateau. But in this offense, I mean, my goodness, as long as Greg McDermott is here, I think one of the best offensive coaches in the game today is McDermott.
And it all begins with believing in your team. You drill them, you teach them fundamentals, you get guys that are already skilled, and you cut them loose.
Foster, that one rolls off, and that's an over-the-back foul on the leaping combo guard that is Harrell. Small forward today with the positioning that he has to play. That's his first. (51-45). Just over 3 minutes gone by here in the second. What about that drive? There was a bump inside, and it's Thomas that gets tagged. Excuse me, Davion Mintz rather than Thomas.
Xavier doing a nice job again of driving gaps, whether it's man or zone, the occasional zone that Creighton will play. The ball movement creates gaps and lines of penetration, and Xavier hasn't passed many of them up.
Goodin had only 5 points in that game against Butler. Played a lot of minutes, but has been warming up from three-point land of late. Touched on the importance of Najee Marshall. Quentin Goodin helping out at that point guard spot. Really important for this Xavier team. Thomas.
First miss.
That's a walk, yep. Goodin got in a hurry and took the little hop step and got caught.
Yeah, that's been called so frequently. The guys shuffle those feet.
That's his first turnover, Lynn. You consider the style of play we've got out here today?
Well,
only his first turnover.
He's fourth in the conference in assist-turnover ratio, second in assists. You know, Quentin Goodin is one of those guys. He's the reason why the Xavier offense is so efficient. One of the big reasons why.
Foster off the bounce. America just, all he could do was pray. He knew that was a bad switch that he got caught on. 14 in the game now for Foster.
A good help there by Harrell to keep O'Mara at least away from the basket until his man Hegner can get to him.
The late defensive help from Mintz got the job done defensively. Here's Harrell finding a wide open wing shot for Mintz that would not fall. Makura. Oh, what a pass! How about that dime dropped? What sleight of hand by JP there. O'Mara collects an easy deuce.
And eyes behind in the back of his head as he went past O'Mara, saw the defense come to him, and he found him. Well, like you said, these are mismatches that if you're the big fella, you don't want to be a part of. And then McCure recognizes two guys on him, and he has the trust in his big fella that he's going to catch the pass.
There are some hungry Blue Jay fans right there. 54-47 our score. We touched on it, the importance of this game for Xavier. You can make a great argument given the week they've had, a road win at Butler, and then presuming they can win this one today. That's a better week than Villanova's. I would suggest that they could move up in the top 25 poll, and Villanova may move down. But this is Howie Schwab's look at the six that are in. No one really on the bubble. Marquette lost today to St. John's, their third straight win for the Red Storm. But these are teams that have a great opportunity today that are sitting on the bubble in several conferences.
A great opportunity, but it's an uphill battle as all of them are playing ranked teams. And how about Virginia Tech they're on the bubble, and maybe to get off the bubble, they've got to play a team that wants to win, because if they win, in all probability, they'll be named #1 in the nation. That's Virginia.
Here's some breaking news for you. St. John's, by virtue of their win today, will have moved into the top 75 among Division I teams. So that once bad loss that you may have had on your schedule, if it was there for St. John's, all right, it's now getting better and better. It's moving up quadrants as we speak.
Just like they expected it. You're getting into quantum physics now. With this quadrant, that quadrant.
First it was metrics, now it's quadrants. Ball was knocked out of bounds. It will be controlled on this end of the floor as you see Najee Marshall coming back out.
But again, how about Xavier playing their game plan as well as you can? Points in the paint, 36 of 14, plus 22. Rebounds, 25-15, plus 10. And second chance points off of offensive rebounds, 13-0. So they have fully taken advantage of the disadvantage that Creighton has inside.
Harrell with a nice tap out to get that one to Mintz. Here's Foster stepping into it around the key. But he gets going and gets a chance to step into it in transition. Look out, he's got 16. The lead now for Xavier down to 5.
A lot of physical play down low, and O'Mara and Hagner, good help.
Hello, here comes Thomas. He's got help. Mintz. Great defensive work there. Good stick-to-itiveness.
Well, first of all, good hustle.
Yeah.
Two other black shirts came down to help out.
Scruggs especially, he and Gates.
If I were Thomas, I probably would have tried to take that one myself. A much better job of blocking out. Harrell held his block out, able to get the rebound.
Numbers, Mintz. Lack of defensive transition that time. Blew it and hit the seat of his pants. Here comes the crowd. It's 54-51.
Well, we talked about the advantage Xavier had on the offensive glass as almost a steal, and there is a travel.
We got a Blue Jay scramble going on here.
The point I was going to make is the advantage on the offensive glass sometimes leaves you vulnerable when you send 4 guys crashing, leaves you vulnerable to transition. And that's exactly what Creighton did to Xavier on.
I know you had a conversation with McDermott about his approach, his philosophical approach about sending guys to the basket as opposed to making sure the floor stays balanced on the other end.
Yeah, I mean, Greg is a proponent of not sending too many guys, maybe 2 guys to the offensive glass, 2.5, that half guy staying around the free throw line, but everybody else getting back and thwarting transition offense by the opponents. But in games like this, you got no choice but to send your guys to the glass.
Alec is on the floor now, number 24 in white. A fadeaway for Foster. He's getting in that zone where he can throw it up from anywhere, from his hip.
You mean he's lit?
Oh yeah, he is lit up. Makura blow by, sending it out to Marshall. Great defense by Tyshawn Alexander. He stood his ground. Here he is on the other end for Harrell. Oh, the iron unkind, and a collective awe comes from the crowd as Makura rips it down.
This crowd just trying to anticipate Creighton taking the lead. Another good defensive stop right there, forcing a low percentage shot.
That one didn't fall.
And right now, Creighton's got to resist being too anxious to take the lead and run better offense.
Yeah. Creighton's last lead was 7-5. They need another stop here. Foster has it, looking for it in transition. Udden for Harrell, and there's a foul. Najee Marshall gets his 4th foul. That's important for Chris Mack.
And you take a look at Marcus Foster. He needs that dribble, gets himself set, and then with the ball fake, when he gets the switch on him of a big man, forget about it. He's going to take him anywhere he wants to go and do whatever he wants to do.
Well, you see the active numbers against top 10 opponents. Marcus Foster right there with Keelan Martin, whom you saw earlier today, put on another show in Philadelphia, particularly in the first half when he lit up Villanova. Wildcats came back, won their first game against Butler in the last 4 tries.
And right now, Foster and Thomas are out. I'm sorry, Foster's out.
Oh, Ballack, the freshman.
And I was just going to say, they need somebody to continue the onslaught. And Ballack with a nice drive to the basket.
Eudora, Kansas' own. It's now an 8-0 run. Second big spurt of the day for Creighton. We have a foul as we go to break on Ballack. It's his first.
Well, Mitch Ballack just got a nice screen from Epperson and took it to the basket strong. That's exhorting your team.
Big East basketball is sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee. Tim Brando, Len Elmore, Holly Saunders, happy to have you with us. 55-54. Creighton with just their second lead of the afternoon. Let's take you now inside the Chris Mack huddle at Xavier.
Hey, I don't mind the couple shots that Foster hit contested. We're fine. Got to make a few shots around the rim. We got to make sure that, like, on defensive end, we don't get them easy stuff.
And the aforementioned Mr. Foster has done a terrific job. Even though he's not necessarily hot beyond the arc, 2 of 7, he's recognized that maybe getting in a little bit closer will get him started. This latest onslaught has been inside the line in range. And he now is 8 of 16 from the field, 18 points. And as we mentioned before, in the parlance of today, that man is lit. He's got 9 points, 4 of 6 from the field here in the second half.
His story is an incredible one, too. Originally at Kansas State. When he came to Creighton, it was not without baggage. He had some issues, but they called McDermott. The mom called. The kid has transformed his life in every way. He's become a true leader on the floor. He's helping these young kids. We saw him yesterday coaching up his guys. A little tough love every now and then. He's a verbal leader for this team.
And sometimes in your choice of schools, the right situation for you, you make a mistake. It came down to Kansas State and Creighton. He made the one choice, and he was fortunate to get that second chance to come to Creighton.
Well, it was because McDermott had recruited him well in high school. The parents wanted him to have a chance to change his life, and they thought it would happen here at Creighton. And it has. Akira quickly over to guard. Xavier now, those buckets right there, that point production on that end of the floor, the first of this in the last 420 that Goodin came away with. Here's Makura on the other end. Gates. Tyshawn Alexander brings it down.
Creighton doing a much better job of keeping Xavier one shot and out. Xavier is not necessarily crashing the glass. They're getting the black shirts back to prevent transition D, something that Creighton's had some success with of late.
Foster off the pick. Count it. That was easy. Hegner set it. Foster connected it. McDermott during his timeout, according to Holly Saunders, tells us rebounding was the big story. Keep hitting the boards, guys. Post defense and rebounding will be the key for Creighton the rest of the way. To shoot. Goodin a step back 3. The iron unkind, and here comes Foster. There goes Foster. Whoa. And the pass is thrown out of bounds by Foster.
And it looked like a car wreck between Foster and Makura. And take a look at the way they're defending Foster. Look at Goodin going underneath the screen. He finally gets there, but watch what Foster does. He goes back the other way. Cantor too late as Goodin gets caught on the screen. Goodin has to fight over top of the screen no matter where it's set to stay with Foster. The moment that he gets screened, that's the moment Foster gets the daylight to do his damage.
Xavier started the second half, Lynn, 5 out of 9. They're 0 for 5 since, scoreless in the last 3:43.
Good help there.
Blew it.
Look at the rebound in a crowd now.
Hegner with a quick outlet to Alexander. Foster's got that extra gear, a little stop-and-go maneuver, but Macura all over him. Thomas feeds Hegner on the wing. Air ball, and Macura retrieves it. Not a good shot.
Yeah, Hegner a little too excited there. Thought he had some daylight. And Blewett did a good job of closing.
O'Mara working in over Hegner. Quick double. Alexander got there too late.
But O'Mara still has the ability to get the ball up and into the basket. They're just strong players on the block, particularly O'Mara in a crowd.
40 of the 58 points for Xavier Lynn have come in the paint. That's a delight for a guy like you.
Only if I could get a few of them. That'd be nice.
Foster! He's up to 24-15 this half. Here they come. Standing at attention, a blue tidal wave. Gates. O'Mara gets the rebound.
That's offensive foul.
That's going to be an offensive foul.
Oh no, they're calling. He's in the offensive player's cylinder. That's what the official called.
Yeah, I was with you. That's surprised. Greg McDermott wants an explanation too.
It should have been. It looked like it was a hook.
Yeah, I thought it was a hook.
But there's nothing ambiguous about that.
A little nylon song by Numero Zero. Mox College Hoops is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. We welcome you back. Let's take you inside the huddle of Greg McDermott for a very simple message.
Listen, guys, until they figure something out, get it to Marcus, ball screen, and flatten it out. Now listen, they're calling tight, which means...
The KISS method of coaching right there. Keep it simple, students. Give it to the guy with the hot hand. And all he needs is a ball screen. You take a look at what he's done over the last 22 minutes. I will add one other thing. Here in the second half, as far as turnovers are concerned, Creighton hasn't allowed Xavier to score off of turnovers, and those turnovers have been limited. But 17 points off turnovers is what Xavier had at the end of the first half. They haven't added another, which has helped Creighton obviously climb that ladder.
And for Xavier, Blewett is only 2 out of 8, Lynn, from the floor. I mean, that is a problem. They got to find a way to get number 5 on track. Here he is, working over Foster, right on cue.
Yeah, that may help a little bit, and if I'm Creighton, I change that up again and get Thomas back on him, because it also puts a lot of pressure on Foster, your offensive player. Make him play defense, he wears down.
Hegner. Rebound to Goodin. Quickly up to Blewett. Open Gates to O'Mara. End-to-end. Quality basketball from Xavier right there.
And I'm surprised, even at times, 4 white shirts back in transition, still not able to stop O'Mara inside.
That's the 8th lead change of the day. They'll figure to be a lot more in the remaining 7:04. Thomas working in on Blewett. Harrell up against the clock now. 5 to shoot. Ball was tipped, but it's got to go up. Alexander, a tough shot. That's going to be a foul inside. Oh, and that's Greg McDermott can't believe Pat Driscoll's call there. Toby Hegner gets the foul, his 3rd. Greg not at all pleased with that one, especially because they are lean in that front line. Not many fouls to give.
They call that a foul?
Yep, they did. Wow. And that's 3 on Hegner. And with no Crumple, there's not many answers. Have to play maybe Epperson a little bit more, and the freshman has already played some, but probably not a real option at crunch time. Gates can't get the follow, and Hegner clears for Creighton.
Boy, Creighton dodged one. Again, not holding the block out. Gates gets an outstanding offensive rebound, but can't connect.
Let's see if they find Foster, as their coach urged them to do. There he is. Working against Makira. A pull-up.
He needs a high screen to get a good look, but you can't get a better one than that.
Pretty good defense from Makira, too. 62-61. Long way to go in this one. Supremacy in the Big East standings and a possible move up from the 2-line to the 1-line at stake for Xavier. Goodin. Oh, Makira got position. Is going to pick up the foul from Tyshawn Alexander. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. We may have a change. No basket, foul is on the floor, they say.
Yeah, he said to Alexander.
Yep, it is Alexander that picks up the foul.
Push Makira out of the way.
Yep.
Right there before he was able to tip it in.
Rooted him out with his derriere.
And they're both battling now what Alexander's got to do, because he allowed Makira to grab his arm and create the impression of a push. What he's got to do is get both hands up in the air, as good rebounders do.
16 fouls, so the rest of the way it's one in a bonus.
Too good a position.
O'Mara with a follow.
Too good a position. O'Mara just uses his body so well.
17-0 in second chance points for the Musketeers. That dominance in their front line showing up yet again, as it did in the first meeting. Nice overplay by Makira. Saves it to Goodin, now gets it back. Look out. JP is on the loose. Finds O'Mara. Not there.
Yeah, Harrell can't force it to Foster. You know you want to get it to him, but it doesn't mean you force it.
Alexander for three. Foster runs down another offensive rebound and a recycle. Harrell.
And once again, no white shirts in the paint for offensive rebounding. They're all back. And I'm going to tell you right now, we're talking about up-tempo basketball. Both of these teams are winded.
They've moved the ball quite a bit, but have not had a lot of production. Creighton is now scoreless in the last 3:40. Yeah, that's O'Mara with the discard of Hegner. Chicken wings came out. Hegner fell. And it's a foul against the big man. Only his first, though.
He got, actually what forced it was Hegner got hit, looked like in the neck or in the Adam's apple.
They got to look at it. They will.
But O'Mara's kind of been doing that clearing and being able to balance himself all evening. That's why he's surprised that they finally call it now. Some of it had to do with Hegner hitting the deck.
Yeah, and this may be worth a look at a potential F1. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't think. I think it was the same kind of play that happened with Suarez early in the first half.
I agree with you. And
just to clear out.
And, you know, defenders have been taught now to, when they get that hit, to be a little more dramatic, and he was as he hit the deck.
Well, not only that, but I think that was legit. That hit him right underneath the chin in the Adam's apple, and he had no choice.
I think we may see an F1 here. They're going to say common foul. It was incidental. No, we're told by Evan Burrows you were correct.
It's the same play as Suarez in the first half. But at least they're calling them the same.
I've seen it called the other way this season. As you look at the standings, what's at stake, as we mentioned, not only within the league, but also from a national standpoint, given what happens with the rest of this weekend. Take a case, Xavier going on the road for two potential big wins. One they've already got in their hip pocket, and another one possibly today. Two tough places to play, on the road at Hinkle and in this building where Creighton has not lost in 15 straight outings.
Little switch right here. I don't know why Marshall switched. Should have stayed.
How about that reversal? Nothing else he could do. Now he still retrieves it. And Kyrie Thomas has one to shoot. Rejected by Goodin. It's a shot clock violation.
Well, that didn't work out either way. But it did ultimately for Xavier.
Suffocating defense in the last 4 minutes by both teams. Big East basketball sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee. in this very building, February 4th, 2017. Tyreek Jones, who's got a bad arm and can't play today. We're going to take you back to last year's game, and Tyreek was 8 of 8 from the floor. That was a season-high 16 for him. Quentin Goodin also had a season-high 15, sparking a late 19-7 spurt, largely from behind the arc. Trayvon Blewett hit threes on consecutive possessions to put Xavier out front, give them the cushion they needed to hold on, 82-80. This was a Xavier team, Lynn, at the time that was trying to fight its way off of the bubble and into the NCAAs, and had not they won in the quarterfinals against Butler in New York, I don't think they would have made it. And as an 11th seed, they went all the way to the Elite Eight.
Well, that shows you what momentum can do. This is a tough place to play. Remember, Creighton is undefeated on this floor this year, 13-0, including 5-0 in the Big East. So to win here is a monumental victory.
Foster and Kyrie Thomas have become very close, and as I mentioned, a real coach on the floor Marcus has become. He'll need to be the leader and then some in the remaining 350, trailing by 3 right now.
We told you this is going to be an up-tempo game, and for the most part it has been. The offenses haven't been as efficient as they normally are. That's not a bad shot.
Goodin made that one look too easy at 66-61. 15 in the game for him.
And more importantly for Creighton, they haven't really gotten much easy, particularly from the free throw line, where they've only attempted 1 free throw. And Xavier not much more, 5 of 7.
Foster ends the 8-0 Xavier run. 66-64. Here we go.
Xavier going 1-4, trying to utilize some clock. Here's the high screen, but penetration, finding shooters, post up particularly, as you got a mismatch with Cantor being guarded by Mintz.
Macura. Oh, it was actually tipped in by a Blue Jay. Cantor will get credit for it. But that was a white jersey that had the big mid on it.
But once again, Cantor's size really put pressure on Creighton down low as he was trying to be blocked out by the point guard.
Foster feeds Thomas, his running mate. That was a good look. 2:25 left. Blue Jays now getting to a point where they're fighting not just the score but also the clock and need stops on this end.
Xavier absolutely milking the clock right now.
Macura again. Long rebound, tapped out. Length of the floor. Foster snuck out. To McDermott's point, always keep the floor balanced.
Well, that time that was a leak out by Foster. It was Xavier that failed to rotate back.
29 for Foster. 20 this half. Yeah, the regular season does matter in college basketball. You bet it does. 68-66, Xavier with the lead. As you look at our game reset sponsored by SoFi, rethinking personal finance. Possession arrow on a scramble go to Xavier. And you see the 16 fouls, a couple to give for the Musketeers at this stage. That last bucket by Foster was huge. It led to this little laughter from his counterpart, Macura.
Yeah, sharing a little bit of a joke. However, you know, it's nothing funny about him taking off and Macura watching his shot, forgetting to rotate back. The last laugh on J.P. Macura, at least for that sequence.
You know, J.P. is 1 out of 6 from downtown today. He had struggled coming in. We asked Chris Mack yesterday about the struggles of J.P. slumping in the last 4 games, averaging just over 7 points, 22 shooting. He said, well, look, J.P. plays with an edge. We got to have him play that way. But I don't need him to be worrying about his posse too much. This is not about image. This is about substance. Well, Goodin almost and did turn it over. Great defensive sequence out of the timeout by McDermott's team.
And the very thing Greg McDermott admonished his team about getting off the floor and trying to throw a pass is what happened just then for Xavier, as Quentin Goodin had nowhere to go with it once he left his feet.
Defensive change for Xavier. Makura comes out of the game. O'Mara now back on the floor, and Najee Marshall in there. Foster off the heel, tap out, retrieved by Hegner, back to Foster. Mets a baseline blast, and he's fouled. Boy, no one came over to recover on the baseline, and you rarely see that with Xavier from a defensive standpoint. That's Goodin's third foul.
And not to be a perfectionist, but Mitch should have made that layup.
Yeah,
and those are opportunities you cannot afford to give up, particularly at this stretch, a minute and 15 left.
71% on the year, Mintz. These are Creighton's first and second at the free throw line all day. I mean, they have not been able to get to the stripe all day long. As tough as this game has been defensively, Pat Driscoll now having a conversation with Gates and Harrell. They were jawing a little bit, jockeying for position. Much needed free throw here to tie the game at 68. Smelling overtime again, partner? We had it last week.
I don't know. I got a cold, man. I'm sniffling on this floor.
I don't have a flight today. You guys have fun. I can hang as long as they want me to. That's a walk. It's going the other way.
Ronnie Harrell. Take a look at the high screen, the slip, and Harrell is right there. Fortunate, very fortunate that O'Mara traveled, because if contact was made, it appeared that Harrell's feet were inside the restricted area. And as a secondary defender, if your foot's anywhere on that line or inside, and that's an automatic strict liability foul.
Why do you suppose Makura's sitting defensively? And it's not because of foul difficulty.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, it must be a matchup that Coach Mack does not like, and he prefers having Najee Marshall and Goodin out there at this stage along with Gates.
Or he's hurting. Well, their best defensive team is Scruggs and Marshall out there.
Foster, not to be. Reeled in by Gates. The game remains tied with 40 seconds left.
And that's what it is. It's his best defensive team, the one that's least reckless.
Yep.
It's got length and athleticism.
I get it. He's bringing Makura and O'Mara for offense when we come back. Just thought I'd ask, partner. We'll be right back.
I was right out of college, and I was
68 all our score with just a few seconds remaining. This weekend, college basketball is teaming up with Autism Speaks to raise awareness, understanding, and acceptance of autism, which affects 1 in 68 children in the United States. Coaches, broadcasters like us, and the officials are wearing Autism Speaks blue puzzle piece pins. Learn more by visiting autismspeaks.org/coaches. If you look at our game reset, Xavier with 1 timeout. Creighton has 3. Xavier with only 5 team fouls, so another for them to get.
Yeah, that could loom large, particularly on a miss. And then obviously Creighton setting up for the final shot. That 1 foul to give can upset rhythm.
It has not been Bluett's day, but you wonder if they'll call his number because of what he's meant for so long to this program.
Well, I would say that he certainly is a threat that Creighton has to honor, but the success that they've had has a lot to do with what they do inside.
Well, 36 straight games he's been in double figures, only 6 points for him today. We shall see. Difference in the shot and game clock, 14 seconds.
That's what I figured inside.
Yeah, O'Mara, Makura with a follow. JP does it again, picking up the loose change and knocking it home.
He does a great job of crashing the glass from the wings, and Creighton with no block out.
Look out, it's all Foster all the time. 1-4 set, he's got a mismatch, takes it in, it goes crying, stays with it. Harrell for the win! Off the heel, we got a foul, he'll will shoot three. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? It's Blewett that gets the foul. Oh, my.
I don't know how you explain it. Fast and furious inside. Foster off balance, but he has a presence of mind to find Harrell behind the arc. And that's just a hair foul on the elbow.
Oh, it was a good call. He got him. He clipped him on the closeout.
He did. There's no question about it. But you're asking yourself, why?
Yeah.
Why do you even have to close that much?
The McDermott reaction was priceless. 76% on the year for Harrell. At the free throw line, he shot 50 times coming in. Not today. This one will be for a tie.
I expect Chris Mack, he's trying to ice Harrell, and he wanted to call a timeout.
Yeah.
Greg McDermott is saying, wait a second, how could he call a timeout? Didn't you hand him the ball? I'm not sure he did.
Well, if he had handed him the ball, that would have been a difficult mistake to overcome, but I don't think that he did. But that is the final timeout for Xavier. Creighton with only 3 attempts all day before now. But here is the closeout foul we were talking about. Or this is O'Mara inside. The tip in coming from Akura.
Again, Foster forgot all about him, but he kind of made up for it by finding Harrell and putting him in a position to get fouled.
Here's the critical moment for me. And with Driscoll, this was after the first free throw. Now, see, that's not supposed to happen.
All right, and that's how he gave him the ball.
Yeah, when you got the ball, you're supposed to get the shot.
He shouldn't have given him the timeout.
No, they should not have. And this, in effect, ices Harrell. Doesn't matter. They tied at 70. Blockout times. Still plenty of time. 4.6 remaining. Xavier cannot stop the clock, and that's critical. They got to get it up the floor, but they have plenty of time to do that. Kaiser Gates is going to come in. Ample time for Xavier, whether he makes or misses here.
Be interesting to see what kind of defense Creighton plays. Do they drop back 3 quarters and pick up? Do they pick up full court? And do they put a man on the ball if they pick up full court to try to make the inbound more difficult?
The last thing you want is Xavier to have a chance to step in for a 3. And because of that, they're going to talk defense. Timeout. Creighton with the lead by 1. Looking to go 16-0 at home. What a scene this is, huh? This is the Blue Jays resume. Howie Schwab, our bracketeer back in Los Angeles, currently has them as a 6th seed. This would jettison them quite a bit, Lynn, a victory here today. They could move up on the tournament line.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's no question about it. Quality team like Xavier, even though it's a win at home. And we mentioned before, Creighton 13-0 at home, including 5-0 in conference play. But a win against Xavier should catapult them. By the same token, though, you got 4.6 seconds left.
Yeah, well,
we are not giving the win away yet.
Well, let's go there. With 4.6, what are your primary options if you're Chris Mack?
Well, if I'm Chris Mack, I got 2 things. One, if I can get the ball to half court, maybe I call another timeout to be able to get a better pass, better option in the front court. But if I get somebody in the backcourt that's got to dribble up, you got time for maybe 2 dribbles and a shot, a dribble and a pass and a shot. If I'm Greg McDermott, I put a man on the ball, make it as difficult as possible.
Blewett will be checked by Thomas.
See, here it is. Another lesson to be learned. After the Duke-Kentucky game in 1992, I thought every coach would put a man on the ball.
Yeah. And with another timeout to take after seeing the lineup. They're going to take more time to discuss it after seeing the formation.
Yeah, maybe that was a decoy.
Yes.
But in order, you put your biggest guy on the ball to keep that pass shorter. You can't throw a long pass over a big.
Because of the unlimited range of Trayvon Blewett and how quickly he can get his shot off, do you take the chance of doubling him, making sure he's not the guy that beats you? Force Makura, who's been struggling to take the deep three?
Well, I try not to let anybody take a good-looking three.
Yeah.
And again, for me, it would be a man on the ball. But again, different coaches have different philosophies.
Yeah. Well, there's time. Let's face it. There is time to go rim to rim.
Yeah.
4.6 is plenty of time. Tyus Edney taught us that at UCLA years ago in the NCAA. So we shall see.
Well, they're matching up man-to-man right now. You got to keep guys in front of you. Don't let any pass get behind you.
Here we go. It's Goodin, end-to-end, through a double, at the rack. Is there a late
foul? A foul?
They did with .3 left.
Are you kidding me?
Evan Burrows called it.
Wow.
Harrell will get the foul. And give Goodin credit. He motored, absolutely motored up the floor.
Oh, man.
A lot of times you'd see the whistle swallowed in that situation.
I know.
You would see it. Here's Goodin.
But I'm not sure there was enough there.
He gets the first. 82.8% at the line. Coming off a 1-point win on Wednesday at DePaul. They could win another by one. Give Creighton their first loss in this building all year. This is for it all. A victory on the road yet again in the Big East in first place. He got it. And a timeout. And McDermott is going to take the time to let Pat Driscoll know, and he's going to let Evan Burrows know right now how he feels about that call.
Yeah, I think Greg McDermott is entitled to it. The amount of contact was essentially incidental and both hands up. You know, nothing coming down. You're going to see. But Goodin hitting the deck is probably what sold it. Take a look at Harrell coming in the screen right. That was nothing.
I'll go back in time for you, Lynn, and you'll remember this, all right? NCAA tournament, 1989. John Clougherty, the official.
Wow.
Rumiel Robinson taking it against Seton Hall. He got the block charge call that he wanted. I think officials across the board changed their approach late in games with the block charge call in the aftermath of that. There's no denying there was contact, but the philosophy of allowing the game to be won that way with the clock winding down, that if it's not an obvious foul, you swallow the whistle. That changed really after that 89 Final Four game in the championship between Seton Hall and Michigan, if you recall.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's in the referee's judgment that was essentially a foul that...
And a foul's a foul no matter when it's given, yes.
My point is, I'm not sure that the contact was enough to warrant it.
Yeah, no,
and who initiated it.
Yeah, and that's Greg McDermott's point too, and I get it. I really do. And they are still hot with it.
Now, Harrell's moving. He's moving right there. And
his hands are straight up.
Right, and you can't tell who initiates the contact.
Yeah.
The official's right on top of it, so, I mean, you got to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
But I know it's a tough one for Creighton to swallow.
10 lead changes. 2 in the final 4.6 seconds. It's rare that you see that. But for Xavier, what another road win this could be for them.
0.3 of a second gives you an opportunity to get a shot off. But it's one of those things where you've got to catch and turn and throw it up there.
Almost a lob. It's got to be almost a lob from one end of the floor to the other at the rim. Hegner will trigger it in. Length of the floor. All the way through. Fans were hoping for a whistle, and Kyrie Thomas was trying to induce it. Now it goes down to the other end, and it's Xavier ball, and that should do it. All they have to do is get it inbounded now.
Not only that, you can even throw it off a Creighton player.
And that's it. They'll be talking about this one for some time and throughout the entire week. The Chris Mack's team has moved to 24-3, 11-2. Good enough for first place. One more in the win column than today's number one, Villanova, who also won in our first game earlier today. 4 Musketeers wind up in double figures. And an improbable way to win. At first, Creighton thought they had it on a foul from three-point range. And then Xavier goes the distance. Goodin gets the blocking foul on what was a block charge situation at the end. And it's 72-71 the final. And I suspect Xavier could move all the way up to possibly number 3 in the country after a week like this. This is the first foul on the closeout by Blewett.
And it legitimately did get Burrell on his left elbow. And this is the one that people will be talking about. Again, who initiates the contact? And the contact was relatively minimal. So, I mean, I'm not...
And the hands were straight up. And we should stress that in block charge situations, it's not just about being set. It's about the space that you occupy.
And are you in legal guarding position? And you don't have to be set.
Yeah. All right, it's a bizarre finish, and Holly Saunders has the winning head coach, Chris Mack.
Coach, incredible you're able to gut it out today, but walk me through that last play. What did you draw up?
Well, we told him there was 4.6 seconds left. That's an eternity of time. You know, it doesn't seem like it, but, you know, Q's one of the faster point guards in the conference, and we told him to get to the rim, and he did that. And so, you know, I thought the fouls on both ends were tough ones, but, man, what an unbelievable environment. What a game.
In a tough road game, you just mentioned it, when the crowd is behind them the entire time, your leading scorers are having an off night. Where did you find this? How did you dig deep enough?
We have a team. You know, I know leading score. Every team has a leading scorer, but we have a lot of guys that could play that if they were elsewhere, it'd probably be a leading scorer. And you know, the sacrifice a lot of our guys have made has been special. And it's all about winning. And you know, nobody in that locker room will be looking at stat sheets, and that's why I love coaching this group.
Much different game than the last time you two matched up a month ago, Coach. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Holly.
Tim.
All right, Holly, thank you. A pleasure to be with both you and Lynn Elmore today. Gooden, by the way, a career-high 17 points, and the big ones at the end on this disputed block charge. Xavier wins it 72-71. What a day of Big East basketball on Big Game Saturday. Stay with us. Coming